I made an article myself, and it's called "History of the CIA Secrets." And this was what like way back when World War II started. Oh, oops, sorry. People were doing all like everything they could do to make sure that the people on the other side of the war wouldn't win. So people were doing really crazy stuff, like they were there was stuff going on with hypnosis, and they were hypnotizing their enemies.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with my article that I wrote. It
Okay.
says the US has a lot of stuff that they don't want you to know. They do everything they can to keep their secrets secret. But some of those secrets get out, and that is exactly what I'm talking about today. The topic I'm going to be talking about is the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and the human mind control experiments. During the time of the Cold War, the CIA made some illegal scientific human experiments, which was called LCD, lysergic and diethylmod. It's like really hard word. It's called diethylmodide, which was used in the most human experiments to cause hypnosis, barbiturates. And during
Barbiturates.
the investigations, the investigators discovered that radio- radiological and biological agents.
Mm.
Now I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about LSD. Here are the following of what LSD is: a chemical, an acid, and a drug. Back when the Cold War started in 1973, the CIA's horrible drug, and it should not be used freely on the human brain. And that is because when it's used, it makes people have illusions in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they used it on their enemies, because they didn't want them to remember anything. And that's why they hypnotized them, because that's how they won the war.
Okay.
They didn't want anybody to remember anything. They didn't want all the information that the people that their enemies had. They didn't want them to know any of that.
Mm.
And basically, their leader the leader of the CIA in 1973, him and his team spent $20 million on these experiments.
Mm.
And somehow the US government found out, and they got in a lot of trouble. And he basically lost his job. And they did an investigation, died from it because they couldn't deal with it anymore. And some people committed suicide.
Wow.
Like some people committed suicide with LSD because of all the stuff that was going on in their brain. Some people couldn't take it anymore. And I really thought it really sad. I couldn't really find out why they did it, but the biggest reason I can say is because they wanted to win the war,
Mm-hmm.
and they did everything they could do to win the war. And the last thing I have to say before I start getting to the discussion is the government, the CIA government, US government, they provided these humongous labs for them to do the hypnosis and all those chemicals and acids and drugs on the enemies. They had like around the whole entire around the whole the around America,
Mm-hmm.
all around those bases they had labs, and they did all the hypnosis in the labs. And the enemies were forced,
Mm.
so they would capture people and put them in the labs and do the experiments on them,
Wow.
and then they would just go freely. And sometimes they would have to keep them in the labs for them to get settled into their new mind.
Mm. Wow. Now, what war was this?
What did you say?
What wars was this used?
World War II.
World War II. Okay.
Mhm.
That makes sense because I saw that was kind of touched on, but it didn't have America doing it. It had the Nazis doing it.
Yes, that was also.
So it must
And
have been.
they were really, I read another article, they were very eager to win it. And anybody would be eager to win a war, and they
Mm.
do what they have to do. I just thought that was really sad for like all those people who had to go through that stuff,
Yeah.
like all that mind trouble, and not be able to deal with it because their mind is being taken over
Yeah.
by somebody
And
else.
when they would do that, would their minds ever get back to normal, or would they be off for the rest of their lives?
It lasts forever because it's acid.
Yeah.
LSD is acid, and acid destroys your cells.
Mhm.
So their brain you couldn't really do anything about it.
Mhm.
I mean, unless they went to therapy, but nothing really changes from
Mhm.
that point. So
Tayo, did you have any questions for Elise?
No, not really.
Okay. Any thoughts about what she shared?
Well, my only thought that I had while listening to that was that was just crazy.
Yeah.
it is.
You know, you just really never know what the government is doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's really hard to know that our U.S. government does stuff like I haven't read anything that they do that now, and I don't think they do it now. I can't
Right.
speak for
That was
that.
my next question.
But
Okay.
they did a lot of crazy stuff, like back when those wars were going on, because
Yeah.
everybody was eager to win. So
Yeah.
they did what they had to do to win, even if that was severely hurting somebody really, really badly.
What caused you to be interested in this topic?
Well, basically for the year, my topics was U.S. history, and I wanted to do something on governments. So I kind of, when I was doing research, I saw about the CIA. It was on an article about the CIA mind controlling experiments, and I
Okay.
saw it and I read the article, and it really interested me. So I read it and I did more research, and that's what caused me to create my own with all the info that I got from all those articles and on the internet that I saw. I
Yes.
made my own. It was really a lot of interesting information. And that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight.
Okay. That's good. I'm just so glad you shared that with us. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments or thoughts?
I used to work at the Department of Veteran Affairs,
Okay.
and that was one of the things that they had while I was there.
Wow.
They would actually like basically use the some of the veterans as test subjects still to this day. So it is still happening.
Wow.
We actually used to have to keep track of any they would call it adverse activities. So it necessarily, like, especially if they was taking any type of medication, and if they went to the hospital for whatever reason, they could have fell down and scraped their knee.
Yeah.
But because they are in this program as experiments, it all has to be documented, because it's a chance that the medication could have affected them to fall or make them hallucinate.
Yeah.
So they are still doing it to this day in 2020. It is still happening.
See?
A lot of times we see that our veterans come home and they may not all function the way that they used to. A lot of them, they have even given it a title, PTSD, which go over, I mean, we can have it even out without being, in the military. It can happen, any type of, traumatic stress.
Yes.
But when they're there, they are trained to do so many different things, and they see so many things that sometimes when they do come back home, and I'm just speaking, here in the DC metropolitan area,
Yeah.
that, we have people that could possibly be homeless, could mentally not be stable, and it could come from, and you've heard conversations of like Agent Orange, some of the men that's in there, like most of the ones that's like in their 70s now, 80s, some of them have prostate cancer, and they don't know how it came about, but when you research far enough back, you will get that they all were in the military at some point. So there's different components to this. And that when I read the your post on Facebook, that was what really triggered me for him to read up on it, because I'm constantly at home and I try to educate him as much as I can. I'm an advocate of teaching the babies the truth from the beginning.
Yes.
So I, and not everybody's doing that. So when I read that from you, I was like, oh, I want him to, get on this call. And, I reached out to you before about the school and stuff, but I wanted him to be a part of this because I want him to hear what's going on, so it'll spark something to keep researching, and not me just, because I can't remember everything to talk to him about.
Right.
You know, so I appreciate at least even taking this time to even do this, and for such a young lady to be that interested, that's a blessing. Like that's really, really a blessing. Like that's somebody that for me as a mom, I want my son to have friends and associates that are thinking
curious.
Yes.
Curious. Yeah. Curious.
Yes. You know, you want that. You want them to constantly seek knowledge, you know, seek knowledge and never feel that, you know, I know enough or I know everything, but to, you know, it's okay to know a little bit about this, a little bit about that, because you can only speak on what you know, you know. So I thank her for this, but I mean, this is just the start, you know. We have to keep educating them every day.
You can't. And not sheltering them. I don't believe in sheltering my kids from this information, just because, and I think it makes them stronger. People think that it's protecting the kids, but you know, you don't want to shock them when they get older by stuff, when they find out some of these truths that are going on, you know.
Because you know, as adults, we look at it as, you know, if we had known certain things earlier, we probably would have made some of the same choices that we made. And you know, you constantly just sweep it under the rug. That rug piles up, and everybody's tripping over that same lump in the rug. But nobody said, let's clean out underneath the rug so we all can walk freely.
Right, exactly. Knowledge is power. It really sets you free. Really free. And so Monica answered the question. That was our question: is it still going on? At least, I was like, I don't know, but Monica's had the opportunity to say, yeah, it is going on some level. It's still going on, and I believe that. I believe that and there's a lot going on. We could expect probably some testing is going to be going on with this virus as people try to find a cure. Some human testing is going to happen.
And that kind of information is here. So when you try to look that kind of stuff up, they don't give you direct answers at all. And it took me a long time to get this kind of information. Like my mom was telling me to be careful, like what sites I go on with this kind of information. And I really wanted to get to the bottom of it, but I couldn't get all the information because for my own safety, because you never know what could happen with you going that deep into the internet. So,
that's true. That's very good. That's a great that you know, you even have that platform that your mom is telling you, you know, you do have to be careful what sites we go on. We don't know who can actually see everything. We know that they can see things, we out in the streets, and then later on here come a video of something and you're like, well, who was around? You know, so we don't really know. And the information that they don't want you to know, they're not gonna put it out there. You know what I'm saying? They will hide it as easily as possible as they can, because they feel that we're not gonna read, we're not gonna research, we're not gonna question it, we're just gonna take it on face value. And that's the thing that we can't keep doing. We have to say, I'm gonna research this for myself.
And that's exactly why the director of the CIA in 1973, his name was Richard Helms. And when he knew that like stuff was gonna get messy and he was gonna get caught, he had all the files deleted. But when they investigated, they somehow they found everything that he deleted, and that's how they got all the information.
And that's something. Lord says, whatever's done in the darkness will come to the light.
Amen.
And they found everything. They didn't find
they found enough.
Yes, they found enough they need to know to put him away.
But just finding a little bit can, you know, is enough to spark an investigation. You know, that's the main thing. When we stop searching for what else is there, we know that it's more there, but we have to, you know, search for it. And sometimes, you know, we don't look, we just take it on face value and just say, oh, this is what they told me, or this is what they even put in the newspaper, this is what they put on the news. It doesn't mean that it's all true. They can take bits and pieces and put something together and formulate what they want us to know. But we have to say, wait a minute, like you did, let me go and research and, you know, find out a little bit more. So
that's good. That's good. Thank you, Elise. And our students, they volunteer for these, so they're not assigned them. They just give me like she texted me, was it last night, and says it's my week. Like before school ended, they signed up for different weeks if they wanted to. It's all voluntary. And then I don't, micromanage it. I don't remind them. I just kind of wait for somebody to let me know, hey, I got my, so she texted me last night. She said, I'm ready to present mine. And so it's it's a lot of freedom in that. And so she talked about earlier how they choose their own topics. They have, for the year. So they have to choose either, like if they're for the history part of their credits, they choose the world history, geography, U.S. history, American history, or government.
Okay.
They can choose to study either one of those, but they have to choose that one for the year. They can't be like jumping all over the place. So for the year, I think you chose U.S. history.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hers for the whole year, she's been studying. And you can study anything you want. I don't tell you what to study, but as long as it's connected. And I said you can't do sports stars and music stars. Not that they're not important, but we've had students like do it on Lil Wayne. I'm like, he hasn't done anything for America. I mean, like, I know you like his music, but so I just took out entertainers and superstars out of that. It has to be something connected to the progression of America.
Okay.
And so that's just to keep it focused.
Okay.
And so, and they just kind of go in there and just get in there with U.S. history. And she just, like she said, and she just saw some other topics that look of interest to her, and it's just getting her to explore it. And they actually end up learning about everything else in the process because everything is so interconnected, Because I think you were probably able to learn about World War II a little bit from doing this. Am I correct, Elise? Yeah.
About, like, since this wasn't a part of my talk today,
yeah,
but I did about separate my own personal learning about some of the people from other countries that were involved in it.
See, that's good. And so that's what happens. Their curiosity allows them to take different paths.
I love it.
Yeah, then a portfolio is kept of their projects, and we keep it so we can keep track of what histories they've been exploring while they're at the school. And we do the same thing for science. Science is done the same way, but when they get to high school, they have to do certain sciences because they have to get those lab credits. But like from K through 8th, they have a lot of freedom. They have to do either life science, like biology,
Or are you talking about
astronomy? What is the other one? Botany.
It's physical science, I think.
They can do physical science.
It was chemistry and physics, animals, or astronomy. Yeah, and astronomy.
Yeah, and botany and human body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they can same freedom. They explore same way, but they have to study that one. Like if they chose botany, they have to study that for the whole year. But they could just have fun with that and just learn all they want about botany.
Wow.
So.
All right.
Yeah. So thank you, Elise, for presenting. This was a phenomenal presentation, girl. But I wasn't surprised. I know when Elise says I'm going to do this, she's ready. She's yes.